Mitt, I mean, how long is it going to take for you to come clean before the American people and produce your tax return for 10 years or so? Must the President Obama opposition team that you are afraid of as much as a possum is an axe hound, must they have to waterboard you before you produce what we know that you're going to have to produce if you ever have any hope of sitting in the Oval Office? You've got to, I know you've been castigating Obama. Your surrogates went out today, calling the dope fiend, and some of them are talking about, well, let's look at your transcript. But you got to take a page out of his opposition book when trouble came in here. He uh, met it head on. He attacked the problem head on and then directed uh, his focus on something else as equally as important. The tax returns aren't going to go away. Even today, some additional information came out about the return that you did show us. You didn't show us the form that everyone knows that you had to have filed with your 2010 tax return, and that was what this thing called an F bar, where you it was a form that has to be attached to the return when you make mention of this here Swiss bank account. The public still cannot, middle class America cannot understand why you would need a Swiss bank account. Now, to those that's in the know, and I found out just by going searching on the internet, in 2009, the IRS declared an amnesty program to all the taxpayers who had been using fraudulent intent with their Swiss bank account. So if you had been doing anything untoward that you needed forgiveness from the IRS for, well, by simply doing it, that when they allowed you to do it, you didn't have to show it. And you're a sharp man, so one thinks that no, that could not be it. Then as I read further and other tax professionals, the word came up about lost harvest. It was like, what is that? Well, lost harvest, as much as I could understand, it seemed to be where interest and dividend, I kind of wrote it down, interest and dividends, when you go out and you purchase stock that you know is losing, and you use the loss to offset something else. It can't be against ordinary income, but some other kind of interest or dividend, and you can transfer it to someone that's in a lower tax bracket, or you can give it away to charity. And is that the way that you was able or did give a lot of money to your Mormon church? Is that in order to game the system and duck certain taxation, you gave the money away? And then that was they talked about blind trust. And we know how you feel about blind trust. You say it's just an age-old rule that you set the rules. And the Internal Revenue have set some rules, and they issued a notice, 2005, and it said that it is a type of transaction used by taxpayers to generate tax laws. So you're a very bright boy, and you have used a lot of intricate maneuvering to not to pay, as you said, no more than a dime more than you do. And the people believe now that's looking into this here, you might not have paid none. And then say, well, all he had, no, he probably paid some because he had this 4.8 capital loss in the 2000 and that he carried over, so he couldn't offset that with aggressive tax shelters So he probably paid some. And so, well, if he did pay some, it wasn't no more than 3 or 4%. But if it's 3 or 4% of the tax rate, how can you tell middle America that you paid 4 and you're gonna go in there and you want to lower the corporate rate and you want to lower taxes again? So you really, your goal is to shoot where you don't pay no taxes. And the only way that you can do that, you got to outsource jobs where you can cut labor costs. And they found out a company in Freeport, Illinois. They want to talk to you too, Nick. They want you to stop Bain from outsourcing their jobs over there, and it's going to devastate the community. So watch for your mail or your telephone call. That I'm sure they're going to be getting in contact with you. They're doing the necessary paperwork, but they want you to go on record and say, "Stop it now." I know that you're the kind of person that don't like to take responsibility. Because really, this issue about whether you was at Bain in 1999 or did you leave in between two, all that is irrelevant because the buck stops there. How can you sit in the Oval Office and want to be president of this great country and you don't want to take responsibility? You have to take responsibility. It's your deal. You got all the money. Well, you got some of the money, but you got the lounge share. You got the owner's share. You the chief cook and bottle washer. You everything. So how can it be? And now you would ask us to be our great leader. What is the children? What do we say to the children? And you say that you've had enough. You're not going to give any more tax return. And we're waiting now eagerly to find out who's going to be your running mate. Tell me this, Nick. How many tax returns did you ask them to submit as you was vetting them? So you asked, and I heard someone say that your senior staff, if you win, and your senior staff, your cabinet officials, they're gonna have to at least send t- 3 or 4 in order for the Senate to vet them. So how is it that we're gonna do them but not do you? And it really comes down to the classical thing that Obama is saying to the world. You think you're different, you're special, and you're out of touch with the middle class. But whatever you got going, you got to confess it. Because confession is good for the soul. And if you don't do it, and you can't then do as Obama did when this here Dr. Wright thing came up. You got to attack it head on and then direct your focus to another topic of equal importance. We're concerned with you doing this. Tell us about the bank account. Tell us how you got all that money in your IRS and confess that the buck stopped with you and go to Freeport, Illinois and deal with those middle class people there. And if you are convincing, as Obama was, your opponent in 2008, then perhaps you have a chance. We're waiting, Mitch.